Shalom, everybody. This is Dave from Universal Truth of Mankind, and I am your host. And this is Meditation 201, where we talk about self. As I have been saying, like a broken record, this is self as a composite being, not self as me, myself, and I. So we're not talking about the ego here, but rather we're talking about an assemblage. We're talking about a completeness. We're talking about an influence from our eternal selves all the way through the various parts of our existence, right to this physical existence with the five senses. Now, like always, I've been saying I am on both Rumble and YouTube. Please subscribe to those. Also, like and subscribe. I'm sorry, like also these videos and share them because I want to get the word out. And as you know, I don't ask for anything. I'm just trying to help people to learn how to cope and deal with this new world that we're coming into. And it can be a good world if we are willing to meet it face on. Otherwise, we're going to get confused. We're going to end up in chaos. We're not going to have wisdom. We're not going to have love. We're not going to have sanity. We're not going to have positive energy, and so on and so forth. These are things that we need to develop in ourselves as we learn to cope. And the thing is, though, we have to take this approach. We're not looking to cope with we'll say, reality at this end of the spectrum, but rather we are looking to be able to transform this reality. That's what we're looking to do. Now, I've been hitting this illustration over and over and over, and I'm sorry if you're tired of it, but there's so many different aspects of this chart. There's so many dimensions to it that I just don't see it taught, and I would like to give this gift to people. It's not simply, oh, here's Tree of Life. Oh, here's the Sephirotes. Sephirotes mean, and if you take a look at there's 32 connections. Next, let's go on to the next page. That's usually what happens. Well, if you understand, and this is described as a key to understanding our existence, then it has to be multifaceted and it has to be, replete of explanations of our composite existence. And it is. And I think I demonstrated that with all the previous videos. And if you have not watched my previous videos, please go down to the description, go to the playlist, Meditation 201. Click on that and go from video one all the way up to this video. Don't shortchange yourself. There's a lot of explanations from the past videos that are going to help you understand this video. And I'm going to be going deeper and deeper and deeper as time goes on. And if you don't do the previous videos, you're going to get lost. So I'm encouraging you, please go back. If you got to listen to them a couple times, do it. And take it slow. Don't rush. Don't rush. Nonetheless, you can still get something out of this. So, I'm not trying to deter you. I'm just trying to help you get a completer picture. Okay. The last time we met, I talked about covenants and I explained how the middle column is our covenants for us to do. Now, what's a covenant? Well, it's the merger of the left and the right. You notice that? The covenant is the balance between the left and the right. We in the English language, when we want to talk about correctness, we use the word right. For example, I remember when I was a kid, my grandfather taught me a lot. And I remember one day, my grandfather asked me a question, and he ended it with, right? I said, no, Grandpa, correct. He had a big smile on his face. He says, you are correct. In other words, he knew I understood the word right does not mean correct. The word left does not mean incorrect. The middle, the balance between the two means correct. And this correct part, for example, the ferret, you see that? And I've said that in a previous video. That is the definition of righteousness. That is righteousness right there. Not the left, not the right, but the middle. So should we saw okay, so righteousness. So should we call correctness? Maybe we need to use the word correctness. And that's the balance of the two in the middle. It's not right or left we're talking about here. We're talking about the middle. So let me hammer in a little more detail into this that I think may help you further understand what's going on. And it's going to be a little bit of like a mechanical approach. Okay, so here we go. Now we could say that there's a covenant for Malkut. What's the covenant? Well, was not Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Israel, told they would inherit the land? Well, Malkut is the land. It is the culmination of the body and all the five senses together there. And we will inherit that. What does that mean? In other words, eventually, remember what we're told to do. We're meant to bring heaven to earth. And yet, we're also to bring earth to heaven. In other words, we are to bring down heaven to earth to transform it. And as it is transformed, it is meant to go up towards heavens. You follow? So in other words, little by little, that very bottom is going to move up little by little by little into its correct position. And also all that knowledge, wisdom, and light that we receive from the Creator is going to slowly move down towards. And they're going to meet in the middle. Technically, that middle is the ferret there, what we called righteousness. But I may or may not get to that further on in this video. So that's the covenant there. And where is it? It's in the middle. It's where the culmination of everything comes together. The left and right column, the center column, all come together at that point. This is what we're working towards. Right now, we have a lot of chaos. We have a lot of evil. We have a lot of self-serving people who are getting rich by cheating people. I mean, look at the advertisements that we see on TV for products. A lot of them are nothing but lies or meant to mislead you. And then you get the product and it's not what you thought it was. I had that all the time. That's why I'm never in a rush to buy anything. I take my time, and sometimes I may not buy something simply because I'm like, no, I'm not going to take the risk. They use this word instead of that word and stuff. I get very picky, and I walk away. So this is a realm that needs correcting, and it will be corrected. And those people who are taking advantage, and those people hurting others, and look what the politicians are doing. They steal money left and right, and it's becoming more and more evident as time goes on. I want accountability. These people should not be doing this. They were entrusted by us. So it's all a lie now. It's all a lie. What we've been facing all of these years. That's the type of world we live in. That's all my intention is there. So let's move up. Yesod. What is Yesod? Yesod means foundation. Now think about it for a moment. You're going to build a house. You need a foundation. Now I'm not talking about necessarily a foundation of cement blocks. But if you're going to build something, even a shed, you have to have flat ground. You have to have flat, stable ground. And that flat, stable ground has to be not only a must, but has to be completed and insured. Otherwise, it will cause issues for the structure that's built on top of it, because the structure built on top, it needs everything square and plumb and so on and so forth in order to come out properly. If you have one little iota off, you all heard of the Fitzgerald, right? The Edmund Fitzgerald that sank in the Great Lakes. You know, that song, that I forget who sang it, but there's a song about it, a rather long song about it. Well, recently there's been a lot of checking on that, trying to figure out why it sank. And one thing they found out is that when the keel was laid, the keel was not laid properly. It was not plumb. It was not, it didn't, wasn't laid on a proper foundation. So it created stresses in the structure of Edmund Fitzgerald that under normal conditions were okay, but when it was in a perfect storm type situation, those became weaknesses and and proliferated the flooding of that vessel and sinking and killing all aboard. So that's one example of good foundation we need in order to build on. I'll get back to with the covenants for a moment. Now, Teferet, like I said, it means a balance. This is where we have our desire, right? We talked about that. And Da'at is where we make a covenant between us and the Creator. And Keter is what? The covenant between the Creator and creation. Very interesting, huh? So let's deal with some covenants now. I already gave you a little one with the Malkut. You know, you promised the land. Great. Now, when they're in the land, what does Israel have to do? They had to ensure that the children are circumcised. Now, that term circumcised does not necessarily mean physical. What I mean by that is I'm not saying it doesn't mean physical, but I'm saying it doesn't necessarily have to mean just physical. It could mean what? Well, think about this for a moment. If you go to your sud, like I said in previous videos, that could be like the genital. Well, that's where circumcision takes place. So a circumcision has to take place in order for what? To create a foundation for what? Children. Not necessarily just physical children, but children, like a teacher teaches children to do things, to learn things. A teacher is facilitating growth. In a sense, the teacher is giving birth to students. So you need a good foundation. We teach the good foundation is the Torah. That's the foundation. So there's a spiritual aspect to this circumcision. Now let's go up to one more, Teferet, which can be the heart, your desires. Do we not talk about circumcision of the heart? Can we say there's a circumcision of a mind? Da'at? You see what's happening? Circumcision is a important facet of these covenants. It's where we transform. To be circumcised in the world, we say, okay, yeah, you get circumcised, and yes, let's circumcise our children. And we have medical studies to show that in Africa, I believe it is, where some tribes are circumcised, they found that venereal disease was very, very low. Okay, that's fine, but let's go up one. We circumcise our foundation. In other words, we build our foundation. We are properly aligned and oriented. And that creates a foundation for the future. So we what? We circumcise at that point. Now, what's really cool about this, that remember what I said, one part of our existence is energetic, and we want positive energy. You all may not know this, but in Kabbalah, it is taught that circumcision releases negative energy and brings in positive energy. So circumcision at this level brings positive energy down to what? Malkut. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty awesome. So it is important to have a circumcision at that point where we release the energy. And we have a covenant there. Now we also have a covenant of Yesod. Like I said, that's the heart. The heart, God has a covenant with us in our heart. Circumcision of the heart. If you have a circumcised heart, you have a corrected heart. And how do you correct the heart? Well, it's very interesting. In Kabbalah, we have a thought called points of the heart. Now, everyone supposedly has a point in the heart. This one point in the heart says, I want God. Now, if we listen to it, then we have more points of the heart, more interest in God. And we want God even more. Circumcision of the heart. It's a covenant. Let's move up now. Now that we have all that in place, or at least have an inkling of those things, then da'at is a covenant, a circumcision of the mind. And remember, just one more thing with the heart. I found one option. That is the circumcision of
61 miles to your north. Do you want that one?
Oh, why Siri kicked in on that one. Circumcision of the heart is the intelligent energy level of the person, the image of us in the image in the creator. This is the image of us, the image of the creator in us. So that's a correction. So our covenant is, or are, those intelligent energies coming into balance. Now let's go up one more. Like I said, Da'at was that. Sorry, I had to pop down. However, Da'at, now that you have an awareness of all those things below, now Da'at gets stronger and forms, and you have a covenant between you and the Creator to what? Carry out the thought of creation. Like I said, Keter is the thought of creation. It's the covenant with creation. This is how you're going to turn out. This is the way you are, and where you're going to eventually become what you're going to eventually become. You're going to eventually be at. Yes, there's chaos at the moment. Yes, there is good and bad. Yes, there is confusion. Yes, there is a desire by some to be evil, so on and so forth. Yes, but eventually it's going to be all corrected. And no matter how hard those people try, it will happen. There's no way to avoid it. All right? Let me put it that way. So this ta'at is the covenant. It's our mind with the fabricator of creation, the design of creation, and the thought of creation. Those three are really one. I mentioned that before. And in a future video, I'm going to show you how that's exemplified and how we had to think it as one, not as three. It's just there to help us understand the three facets, three activities of the Creator. That's all it is, three activities, not three persons, not a triplet thing here, okay? And I hit a lot of that on the previous videos. So those are right there, 5 covenants that we have. One covenant is already provided, and the other 4 covenants are up to us to develop. This particular video does continue, but I decided to make it its own video, so it's been split. So with that said, I want to wish everybody shalom, shalom, and looking forward to seeing you next time. Take care, everyone.